Okay, we're live. Let me just quickly tweet out the links and then start. So, boxing's been good this year, but Top Rank. I was saying on the pod that not the pod, the account that the Top Rank have been carrying the first quarter quite a bit with their cards that they've got and the fights because we've had, I think, 14 title fights and they've been involved in 11 of them. So, and obviously they're also going to be involved in Fury Usyk as well. So
Yeah.
This is the time to be a fighter, man.
Yeah, man. 2 seconds. I'm just gonna get some water.
no problem. That's why certain men are getting the Texas Commission to clear them in. They need to get back into the
I
mix.
don't know what under the deal brown envelope they sent to my man, but boy, because that's just nasty. They said, I know what's pissed me off about these guys clearing. If you read what they said there's no proof he intentionally
Took it, yeah.
invested. How do you can't prove that? You can't prove that either or. That's what's pissing me off. Like, it's up to you to make sure you're not taking anything dumb. We're in the Olympics. Anyway, I'll do my rant on that.
You do, yeah.
Because it's dumb. Like, anyway.
But like I said, it's a good week. All right.
Yeah, let's go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ringside Fracas. I'm your host Naeem, and we're back again. Look, we've had a good two last week when we had two special guests on with Denzel Bentley and Terry Lane. But I'm joined here again with two special guests, two of our regulars again. Jide, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. Here to fry some fish, some PBC fish. I'm here.
See, that's why it's good to have you back. I know we're always going to get something good out of you from these episodes. And Chris, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Same old. Keeping.
And look, it's good to get the both of you on for this week because obviously we've got lots to talk about. I mean, there's loads of things covering from the British side of boxing and the American side of boxing that we need to go over. So let's get into it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start. We don't usually start with this. But we're gonna start with what the main thing the pod this week's about, the AJ and Ngannou fight that's going to take place next week in Saudi Arabia. Of course, Francis Ngannou came out of nowhere. He did what he did. He came in, took on Tyson Fury, dropped him, and made it look very competitive. Only losing by I think in most scorecards is like a point or two, a round or two that he lost by. And then fast forward to now, it's announced he's fighting Anthony Joshua next straight on. So now we're here with fight weeks here, and it's on a Friday. It's not on a Saturday, you guys. So anyone that's thinking that's on a Saturday, it's not. It's on a Friday night. So make sure that you're when you come back from work, you're ready for that. But I'm excited for this. I thought initially when I heard about this fight, I was like, yeah. But now I'm kind of getting like the sort of big fight feels, if that makes sense, where you're getting more excited, and also because I will admit that I do have a sort of interest in AJ. I'm a bit more vested in AJ, so we have that excitement when another fight comes along, and the entire card is great. So we've got a lot to dissect with that. But going into the main fight, Anthony Joshua takes on Francis Ngannou, 0-1, but it's his second fight, and dropping Tyson Fury gives him a big momentum shift. So a lot of people, even in the American community, favoring him. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. So Jide, obviously, I want to come to you first. Actually, all of us here do, because we watch MMA quite a bit and we've watched Francis Ngannou come up, but we know quite a bit about Ngannou. What are your thoughts about Ngannou now taking on Anthony Joshua after the Tyson Fury fight?
Yeah, big up to Ngannou, man. Big up Francis. I will never begrudge him this opportunity. He put himself in a position where he can get these fights. And the thing with boxing right now, if you look at the top 10, there's not a lot of money guys in it. And for whatever reason, Ngannou is a money guy. Outside of Fury, Wilder, and Joshua, that you're making your biggest money fighting Francis Ngannou. So I'm not mad at it that Ngannou is this draw and at the end of the day is prize fighting. What obviously I was disappointed about is he's not earned the stripes in it to do this. But on his side of things, I'm proud of him, man. He put on a great effort against Fury. Obviously, I've got a bit of agenda. I think he won, but really and truly, he probably didn't win. But he put up a great fight. He dropped Fury. He showed he can actually box. He's got good fundamentals or sound fundamentals. Throws a very, very good left hook, counter left hook. He's got arms longer than Joshua, arms the size of fucking. He can swim, like he can fly with those arms. Like he's 6'4", weighing 270 pounds, so you can't push him around. He's shown he's devastating in a clinch. He can, like, he's just a big, strong man, and he can fight. So, with that being said, I feel like Ngannou is a fun challenge. I'm not here to now say is a great challenge. To me, it's a fun challenge. It's an intriguing challenge. I expect Anthony Joshua to do a job on him. I don't expect it to be a labored win. It can happen. If it's a labored win, I'll be disappointed. Anything but a job. And when I mean job, obviously, if he doesn't stop him and Ngannou's got a chin of granite, it can happen in it. But I need him to beat him up. Like, he needs to do what he did to Wallin to Ngannou. And the difference is Ngannou is dangerous. Like I said, his counter left hook is going to keep AJ on his toes, his straight right hand. But we've seen Ngannou throw, like, he hits hard, but the guy gets wild. Like, he gets wild. He loses his form. He's 37 years old, so he shouldn't have the stamina. Like, this shouldn't be a stamina thing for AJ. AJ should be on the outside, popping his jab, throwing his right hand, and 2-3 punch combos when he sees the opportunity to circling him and then stopping him late or stopping him like 6th or 7th round. I do not expect this to be a labored victory. Anything else, and I'm very disappointed in Anthony Joshua. So that's how I see the fight. I think AJ should will and do a job on him.
Yeah, that's the thing that Ngannou kind of provides. That's quite different from, because we've watched him since the UFC. I've been a big UFC fan as well for quite a while, and you see in his come up, you saw that the one thing that made him that makes him stand out from all his contemporaries in the heavyweight divisions on both sides of the UFC and the boxing is no one's quite built like him. So he's really thick. Pause. Don't take it wrong. Yeah. He's really wide, but he's also big and quite athletic. And it's what propelled him in the UFC, where I was always one big critic of him, where he didn't have the greatest technique in the UFC in any department. He wasn't a great striker. He wasn't a great wrestler. He wasn't a great anything. But it was his power and his athleticism that really just, he came through and bulldozed everyone. But then when he came up against the more technical guys, then he sort of started to lose his footing and wasn't able to, until he then switched his trainer and then changed his game up. And in this case, with AJ, I think it's probably one of the first times we're going to see AJ in with a guy that is physically intimidating to him. It's usually AJ is the guy that's more physically intimidating to the other person. It's now going to be Ngannou. AJ is on the receiving end of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how Anthony deals with that. And also, one of the things I did say about the Otto Wallin fight is he has that comfortability of knowing I've sparred Otto many times. I've fought him many times, so I know what to expect. There is also that aspect of I don't know what to expect of Ngannou. So if there's that, you're living in the uncomfortability until the first few rounds go by. But maybe that's all Ngannou needs. We saw that in the Tyson Fury fight in the 3rd round. That's all he needed to drop Tyson, and it changed the whole momentum of the fight and shifted it all. But like you said, boxing is boxing, and Anthony Joshua is much more capable than enough to be a good enough boxer to use his ability to get him winning this fight, and he should be winning this fight, like you said, comfortably. Chris, your thoughts on Ngannou and AJ?
Yeah, I mean, similar to you guys, I feel like, yeah, of course, Ngannou being able to rise to the top of the pinnacle of boxing, basically, with no, amateur pedigree, professional pedigree, nothing at all, except for the fact that he's renowned for having a massive punch in the UFC. This is all because of Fury. So in a roundabout way, it's actually worked out. Fury wanted to take a comedic fight for the sake of, financial gain, wasting everyone's time with the belts. And what has happened is he's made a fight that should have been so one-sided, extremely competitive. I'm one of those people, I think Fury won, just based on boxing scoring. But in a roundabout way, he didn't win. And I really don't know how he's managed to get away with it, in a sense. But anyway, All that means is that because Fury has made such a meal of it, it's now up to AJ to kind of rectify it. So there's a lot of pressure on him. And I think in a roundabout way, it's hilarious because when AJ says that he carries the heavyweight division, I think these are kind of things that we mean. Yeah, you can say Fury didn't prepare, he didn't take it seriously. That's Fury. That's the problem. That's my issue with Tyson Fury. He didn't take it properly. He didn't take the fight seriously. He thought he was going to be able to walk over, and then when the going got tough, he realized that he was in a whole heap of trouble, proper whole heap of trouble. And yeah, now we got the fight. I'm looking forward to it. As AJ said, as Jide said, there's so many physical attributes. His wings, his arms, like his forearm is so long. It looks weird. It looks like it's another arm extended onto his elbow. Very, very athletically gifted. A lot of athletes from Cameroon, Senegal, those parts of Africa. They're just very genetically blessed. So AJ knows. I think AJ knows what he's getting himself into. He understands, and I guess the advantage he's got is that he's taking this fight very, very seriously. But I'm looking forward to it. It shouldn't be competitive. I am one of those people. I'm of the opinion that AJ doesn't need to stop him, but he needs to. If he doesn't stop him, he needs to make it extremely one-sided, or to the point where his corner's really considering whether they should pull him out or not. I don't think Ngannou is one of those guys that will quit on a stall. He looks tough as nails. He's fighting for very, very big reasons. I'm happy for the dude as well because he's come from quite a torturous background. But yeah, it should be good. It's around the corner. Two of the biggest bodybuilders in boxing going at it, so we'll see how it goes.
I think AJ can stop Ngannou. The reason I say this because I remember I watched the Fury fight and also Ngannou's first fight with Stipe Miocic back in the UFC. In the Fury fight, you could tell the reason it was 10 rounds wasn't because of Fury, but it was mainly because of Ngannou. And he admitted that in the AJ face-off. We were saying, I don't want it to be 12 rounds. I want it to be 10 because it's a different ball game to doing MMA for 5 rounds and doing boxing for 12 rounds. So I think you were going to see in the later half of the fight, if it does get to the later half, that you're going to see Ngannou significantly slow. And we've seen AJ in the last 12 months talk about his gas tank. He's really been talking about, I want to get these rounds in because I want to see if my gas tank's there. That if I know that if I let my hands go, my gas tank will still back me up to the end of the fight and whatnot. But also, I believe sometimes that Ngannou is quite leaky, like you said, when he gets wild and he does try to exchange. And one of the times is usually it's because he gets quite often tired, because you have to remember he's quite big at pause, but he's got a lot of muscle. He throws a lot, so it expends a lot of energy. So by the time he gets through a couple of rounds, he's not got much left in him, but he's got that heart that's pushing him through. It's kind of like Deontay Wilder when he fought Tyson Fury the third time. After round 5, the guy had nothing left. It was just heart keeping him on his legs. So I feel like the same thing will happen to Ngannou, where his heart is going to keep him up, but his endurance isn't really there. And that's why, again, it's a 10-round fight. In the Miocic fight, Miocic had a Golden Gloves background, so he won, the amateur scene Golden Gloves in when he was in high school and whatnot, and he was actually piecing up Ngannou. To be fair, he was piecing up Ngannou. So I expect him to kind of. He looks better, but I think again, like you guys said, the Fury made him look better than he normally does. He looks compact, he looks solid, and he does have that threat. But I don't really expect him to provide anything that I've seen troubled AJ before. Like if you've seen AJ versus the loss.
My hair's grown, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It's about this long now. It's like Chris's hair. But yeah,
Jid is reading the comments and he's getting gas. For those that are listening. So yeah, so he's not short like Ruiz or Usyk, and he's quite fast with his hands or his feet. So I don't think he's gonna quite trouble AJ like that. The one thing I do expect AJ to do is, which will win him and won him every fight that normally he's had, is the jab. If AJ can establish his jab straight away and set the pace, you don't even have to do a lot in the first couple of rounds. You just get that jab out there, make sure that Ngannou can't get into his rhythm. He's struggling. AJ's got a very good jab. It's very underrated. When he was coming up, he had statistically, he had one of the best jabs. Like, he was always landing it. He was using it well. And the body work from AJ will be key, because I feel like a guy like Ngannou, who's admitting to you he can only do 10 rounds, but you got to stick it on him, and you got to make it sure that he feels every single minute of that round, and that you don't let him off at any point in that fight. So it's going to be interesting. I'm expecting AJ to stop him. But like you said, I don't think he knocks him out clean. I think it'll be just due to pure exhaustion. And Ngannou's team will look at him and go, look, we came here to do what we wanted to do, and we've already achieved it. We fought Fury, we fought AJ, we did our best. We've got hundreds of millions now in the bank. We can move back to MMA now and beat up a couple bums and make money there, because now our profile's bigger. We don't need to get completely battered, because he's not fighting for a world title. There's nothing big on the line for him. He can continue boxing after this, even if he loses, because the Tyson Fury fight could still be there. Like, you know, no one can dispute the fact that that fight was close. So if they ever wanted to run it back, it could. Or he could fight Deontay Wilder, because that's on his list. And no one here would say no to that fight, because Deontay Wilder hasn't really done anything to suggest he's above that type of fight. So for him, I feel like I think we could get that type of stoppage as a corner stoppage, similar to the Wallin one, where they're like, look, we've done our thing, but we're not going to let you get battered anymore. And I see that AJ's in a good headspace, and I trust. It's crazy I'm saying this, because like 3 or 4 years ago I wouldn't have said this, but I trust Ben Davison, because what I've heard from other boxers now in the last couple of years, when they work with Ben Davison and Lee Wiley, they say one of the best tacticians that they've seen, really thought out. And you know that they're going to take every piece of tape of Ngannou that they can find, even in the UFC, and make sure that they study it so that they get AJ in the right space to work. So I'm excited for this one, because as a spectacle, and sometimes you need spectacles in boxing, I feel like this is going to be good and it's going to deliver. But before I move on, let me just go through some of the comments, just so because they're all on the AJ stuff. So Chris Welsh says, big up lads, hope you're well. Thank you, Chris. Big up you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
He says 5th round stoppage from AJ is his prediction. I expect AJ to take this more seriously than Fury did. Lots of questions will be answered. Was it a one-off from Ngannou, or what happens if AJ actually gets hit? I mean, there is always that narrative that gets pushed. Remember, it was like a couple of weeks ago, where I think it was it Lennox or was it someone else that said, when AJ gets hit, he stays hit.
Yeah, a lot of people said that.
I don't know why people think that. He's never been stopped. Like, he's never been.
He has been stopped.
Knocked. No, he's never been knocked out.
On his feet, but he's never been knocked out like out cold. He's never been like beaten up to the point where he's maybe been forced to quit.
But I think what they mean by that is, you see, when he got hit against, for example, Ruiz, he never really recovered from it. There was never a point in the fight. So there's the recovery, I think, that they're talking about.
But again, if one fight shouldn't define you, because if that's the case, bro, Fury's been dropped like 20 times. Why do people talk about him having elite defense?
That's true. Yeah, but
it's narrative.
I think the opposite with the Fury would be the fact that he gets up and then he wins the round. So I think
I give Fury the recovery, but he gets talked about like he has an elite defense. People have called him the heavyweight Floyd Mayweather, and this guy's dropped like 10 times. I promise you, now boxing is narrative based. Wilder,
100%.
Well, off of knocking out bums. Narrative.
You know what? It just goes back to like how like old folk tales work, where people build up a narrative, they build up a reputation based on anything, it could be the smallest of feats, and then people carry it forward to the point where we're talking about Wilder as one of the hardest hitting punchers of all time. It's probably not true. Do you know what I mean? It probably isn't true. Yes, he's got an amazing right hand, but when we look at who he's dropped, who he's knocked out, their questions have to be asked. Knocking down Fury isn't the be all and end all of like how many other fighters have done the same thing. A guy did it in his first ever professional fight. Like, how much of a feat really is that? Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Chris says, I would have preferred AJ versus Zhang or Parker than Ngannou, but as the fight got closer, there's intrigue to it. From a commercial sense, it makes sense to do AJ versus Ngannou. Two big bodybuilders. These are freaks of nature that people you never really see on the street normally, and you're going to see them swing it out, pause, and try to knock each other off. This fight, not in terms of skill, but in terms of what you see, is the epitome of heavyweight boxing. What makes heavyweight boxing so appealing is that you get to see these freaks of natures fight each other, swing it out, and land these heavy shots that will knock out every single person on the street out. And you just want to see that. You want to see that, and that's why this appeals to the casual. But to the hardcore boxing fans, yeah, 100%. Zhang or Parker would have been much better fights than this because they really deserve, and the fact they're fighting each other, which we're going to get onto, they really deserve a big shot now because they proved that. Zhang knocking out Joe Joyce twice, and Joseph Parker obviously having four wins in 2023, one of them obviously being Deontay Wilder, would have been a much better fight in terms of boxing, 100%. But you also have to think about it in terms of the commercial and the selling power of the two fighters. They wanted AJ Wilder for this March card, but Wilder didn't deliver, so they went with AJ Ngannou now. So here we are. But you're right. I'm seeing that there's more intrigue. It's because, and one thing I want to give the Saudis credit for, this one point I forgot to mention, their promotion, the shoulder programming, the trailers, all of that, A1. 100% A1. It's been so good. Their movie trailers are amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
They're putting so much money into those trailers. It's amazing to see. And then they're doing mini docs on top of it. They're doing documentaries on top of it. They're doing all these little things that I've been asking for 5 years. I started coming on the pod, I think, in 2021. I've been asking for this for 2 years. Like I've been saying, we need more content from boxers and boxing and whatnot and fights, because it gets more casual fans intrigued in it, and it gets more casual fans up, they find it more relevant to them because they can relate to it because they just watched something about it. Yeah. And now these lot are finally starting to do what's correct for the sport. And that's why we're seeing more and more people gravitate toward this. There's way more people now talking about this fight than it would have done, let's say, if they made this fight a year ago, because the Saudis are doing the correct things to promote this.
Thanks Turkey Al Sheikh, man. It's not thanks Al Heyman, thanks Turkey Al Sheikh. That man is saving boxing, I'll tell you that for free. And when it comes to big fights, I don't think they need to do every fight. They just need to get involved with the biggest fights, and I'm good with it. I'm Gucci. Boxing is dying, bro. Especially, boxing globally isn't dying, but American boxing is dying. All the content that you was asking for, like the documentaries, the 24/7s, that was prime HBO, prime Showtime stuff. Now we don't get that because them man have killed the boxing market in their country. But the Saudis have seen that. Obviously, Turkey is a fan. Man was talking about Larry Holmes as one of his favorite fighters. You don't talk about Larry Holmes if you're casual. Them man just talk about Ali. They've never watched Ali. They know man like Simon Jordan. They never know. When it comes to heavyweight boxing, he never mentions anyone else but Muhammad Ali. That's how you know that guy's a casual. But Turkey Al Sheikh, man's talking about Larry Holmes. That's how you know that man knows his boxing. So them man there are saving the sport. And I promise you, as long as they stay involved in big heavyweight or big boxing, we're going to get the fights we want.
He even said his favorite fighter is Roberto Duran. When someone says Duran's their favorite fighter, there's these lot watching.
That's a real boxing fan.
That's a boxing fan, bro. It's not these fake guys like Simon Jordan. Don't let me get me started on that guy, man.
One day we need to get him on and do these debates, because that'll be fun.
I'll cook him. Bro, if I was ever on talks, I will cook that guy. He just says big words. Best in class. As if, bro, stop. Anyway.
Chris says, completely agree with Jide. Fury should have stopped Ngannou easily. If Fury took it seriously, he would have. I want AJ to do a real job on Ngannou, and he should be doing a job on him. Yeah?
100%.
What I'm saying. Saudis and the WBC basically gave Ngannou the backdoor entrance to the top of boxing. Yeah?
Yeah.
He deserves it. So I can't say anything about it.
Can't knock the hustle.
Ngannou won the fight, says Gurgur. I don't know how to say that. Fury won the boxing contest. That's true, yeah. Ngannou came away with more people rating him, and Fury came away with people being disgusted with him. You should look at our pod, the way we cooked him on that pod, man. We were getting into him. So 505 says, big up, guys. Big up the 505. Gogo says, Ngannou's defensively better than people give him credit for, low key. Yeah, I don't know, because you only take one fight from him, and Fury was scared. Well, not scared, but he wasn't like doing a lot.
He looked scared.
He looked scared.
He wasn't trying to engage. He felt the power. He wasn't trying to get.
When he got knocked down, exactly. When he got knocked down, I thought, raw. I said, and when Fury got back up, it was a knockdown. It wasn't a hard knockdown. It was a knockdown, but it was a solid knockdown. He got up. I thought Fury is going to start pinging his head off, because now he's losing the fight.
Yeah.
And he needs to kind of make up for that kind of embarrassment. And for me, the only way to make up for getting knocked down is to knock the opponent back down again. And I thought, yeah, he's going to step on the gas. Didn't do that. Was running, diving in. There was one point where he span around. He ran into the corner. He was hugging the ropes. I was like, this guy is terrified. But I really would like to know how hard Ngannou hits.
He hits hard, bro. He hits hard. He hits hard.
I'd like to know. I'd like for it to be like quantified, because I really don't think this is the thing with that fight. I really don't think he caught Fury flush.
I think that's what it is. I think he hits hard. I think he's got a heavyweight Golovkin kind of power. You know how Golovkin
Fearing power, like just
it bludgeons you. It's like that kind of power where it
Spence.
doesn't just clean you out. Like Wilder is lights out, innit?
Lights that power.
Like
Yeah,
Ngannou,
I feel like he's a bludgeoner. Like it hurts you. You feel it. Do you know what I mean? It plays with you mentally. Again, I agree with you. I don't think he hit Fury like so hard that Fury is just going to be wobbly legs for the rest of the fight. But I feel like Fury's thinking, if he can hit me with a check left hook and do that kind of damage to me, imagine what it could do to me if he lands a straight, like clean.
Yeah, you remember how he got caught with that shot? Fury did like it was like a 1-2.
Yeah.
It was so rhythmic. It was so predictable. He did a 1-2, and then he did another 1-2. I think he was about to do the third one.
Yeah.
And then Ngannou's punched with him and just caught him at the top of the head. Ngannou's not even really looking at where he is, but he's thrown the same shot 3 times in a row with like the same kind of timing. It made no sense. It's something you'd expect from low-level boxing. Maybe he didn't respect him, which is
he was trying to do the fake Ali shuffle at the start. He was trying to style on him. He was trying to do a show. He tried to make it a show and he got knocked down, and he started thinking, yeah, this is long.
With the stakes at hand, there's no way he should have let that fight look anything near competitive. I don't care how bad. I said this. First of all, you're a heavyweight boxer. Your shape, right? You have the fortune of not having to do crazy dieting to get in shape for a fight. You only have to be relatively consistent when it comes to certain things. It's your training that's going to matter the most. Your weight doesn't really matter as a heavyweight, especially as a big heavyweight and one of the tallest heavyweights in the division. So for me to lose that fight and then say, yeah, he wasn't fit, he wasn't prepared, blah, blah, blah. You should be able to, as a top, or the top, arguably the top boxer in boxing, you should be able to beat Ngannou regardless of where you are, as long as you're active. That's how I saw it, and that's why I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
I remember that when he got knocked out, bro, the group chat exploded.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. It almost felt scripted.
I was 1 minute behind. I was like, what the hell happened?
It almost felt scripted.
I'll come back to the comments later, because we've got obviously a lot of topics to come through. Obviously the comment about Jide's hair won't get talked about because he's got gas enough here. So we'll move on there. On the co-main event, a fight that's in its own right, a main event on its own. This is for me probably the best matched fight on paper on the whole card. Zhilei Zhang defending his WBO interim title against Joseph Parker. I mean, what a fight to put together. These are 2 top 10 heavyweights. You could argue that both of them are the lower end of the top 5. They're both fighting each other to prove that they deserve that shot for a title, or against one of the big 3, AJ Usyk or Fury. And what a fight. I mean, Zhilei Zhang coming off a great 2023, 2 knockouts over Joe Joyce. The last one being such a brutal, devastating knockout, knocking out a guy that no one ever thought could have got knocked out like that. And Joseph Parker fighting 4 times in 2023 and ending the year by beating and completely dominating Deontay Wilder, beating him up from pillar to post. This is a great fight between 2 guys who are really going to go at each other, and we're going to get a great heavyweight fight. And we did a big preview of this in our last episode, where we actually interviewed Zhilei Zhang's manager, Terry Lane. So if you didn't catch that, make sure you catch that as well, because that was a great interview. Terry is a great guy. So, good luck to Terry and his team and the Zhang team out in Saudi, because he gave us a lot of time and he gave us great insight into the Zhang camp and what they're kind of expecting for this fight. So make sure you catch that pod as well. But Chris, let me come to you. Pause. Zhang versus Parker. What are you expecting? What are your thoughts on this?
Great fight, amazing fight. Both fighters, are on the up. Confidence, very confident at this point in time, and both of them have kind of shown. Sorry, I'm seeing one of the comments and it's killing me. But we'll get back to that anyway. Both of them, they're great fighters. A lot of confidence going into both fights. Going into the fight with each other. It's really a toss-up, man. It's hard for me to call it, and it's because they both have glaring issues as well as glaring strengths. Both their strengths and weaknesses both seem to be quite obvious. Zhang, great power puncher, good hands, good amateur background, does tire a lot. He's gassed out in fights. He can be a little bit inactive in fights as well. He can take rounds off from time to time. And against someone like Parker, who's smaller, a little bit diminutive, probably going to throw more punches, that could be dangerous. Whereas Parker, obviously we know he's a very tidy little boxer. Questions around his chin, and there has been questions around his heart at times. He's had losses against, you shouldn't be losing to Dillian Whyte. He should not have been losing to Dillian Whyte. I know he almost got the win in the end, but he really shouldn't have lost to Dillian Whyte. I don't really know how this fight goes. Looking at Zhang's, last couple of fights, Joe Joyce, I feel like was just ready-made for Zhang. Someone who can hit hard, hit flush, and could match Joe Joyce in physicality. Parker as well, he was nimble. He was easily able to defeat Deontay Wilder. It's a real toss-up. If I was to put my money on a winner, I'd probably say Parker on points. But if the fight ended prematurely, it could only be a Zhang knockout for me.
Jida, your thoughts?
Yeah, similar to Chris, but I think Parker, congratulations to him in rebuilding his career. But when we look at the fight, Zhang poses a different kind of threat to Parker. Parker's got small arms. He's got very short arms. He's got relatively quick feet, quick hands. Zhang has got a very quick straight left hand. People seem to underestimate that. And Zhang knows how to set it up. Parker will need to get in Zhang's danger zone, his range, to do work. And yes, Zhang tires, but Zhang tires when he throws. Zhang knows Parker's a nimble target, so Zhang's not going to do him like he was fighting Hrgovic and throwing bare punches every round, going back and forth. That's not going to happen. I see Zhang doing Parker the way he done Joe Joyce. Because if you look at that Joe Joyce fight, Zhang didn't tire like he normally did because he kept catching Joyce. It was just like target practice. So I feel like with Parker, you're going to see a lot of setup, straight left hands, and I think he's going to get to him. I think he's going to get Parker. I also think Parker's got a decent chin. I don't think he has a bad chin. This is narrative stuff. Remember, before the White stuff, people used to say Parker's got a top 3 chin. That was the thought. But then once he got dropped by Wyatt and then he got stopped by Joyce, everyone thinks he's got a bad chin. I don't think he's got a bad chin. I think with Parker it's a heart thing. And I think that has been rectified, especially the win against Wilder. The confidence that will give him for him to go 12 with Wilder, take some of the shots, because he did get hit by Wilder. People are like, Wilder didn't hit him. Wilder did manage to land 1 or 2 straight right hands in that fight. Obviously not in the most perfect way he likes to land it, but he landed it. And Parker ate those. So Parker will have confidence. Yo, if I can take a shot from Wilder, I can take a shot from anyone. So I think he's going to go into the Zhang fight extremely confident that he can do it. But I just think Zhang is an elite practitioner. He throws amazing straight left hands, amazing uppercuts, amazing hooks. It's like his offensive arsenal is almost flawless. The only thing Zhang don't do is go to the body. And I don't think he really needs to do that against Parker because, again, Parker's a smaller man. But I think he's going to get him. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean the worrying thing for the Parker thing, the Parker and Wilder fight. I feel bad for Wilder because every time he was looking in the corner, Malik Scott was doing his eyebrows and FaceTiming Kate Upton. He wasn't getting any advice in there. So, I mean, I think Zhilei Zhang's going to get a bit more better advice if things aren't going his way in that fight. But yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. Zhilei's straight right, and then that straight left, and then that right hook he follows up with it. So quick. His combinations are quite deceiving. He looks like a big. He's quite big, pause, but like he doesn't look like a quite quick fighter. He doesn't look like that, but his hands are quite deceptively fast. And I think that's what caught out Joyce in the first 2 fights, where he wasn't expecting that speed, but also that power as well that was hitting him. And that's what Parker's gonna have to contend with. I talked to Terry about the Jerry Forrest fight because obviously that was one of the bigger danger fights for Zhilei Zhang because he looked like a world-class fighter in the first 3 rounds, dropping him in every single round. And then he just gassed out after that and let Jerry Forrest come back in, and it was a draw. But obviously Terry said that it was because that he had loads of medical issues afterwards and that they had to go to the hospital because of it and whatnot. And we saw a better version of him in the Hrgović fight where he started off well. He got a knockdown, which is kind of controversial because it was sort of to the back of the head. So some people saying he pushed him down and not really knocked him down, but whatever. But he was really lighting up Hrgović in some of those rounds. But then as the fight got on, in the middle rounds, Hrgović sort of came back. Then in kind of like rounds like 7, 9, and 11, so Zhang was kind of picking his rounds in which he was doing his work and then kind of letting the gas off in the later rounds. So that's why it kind of got closer than it should have. Whether or not you believe Zhang or Hrgović won, Zhang made that fight closer than it could have been had he kept a good pace up through the rest of the fight. So that's what I think we're going to expect with Parker is early on Zhang is going to look very good. He's going to catch Parker. I think Parker's going to he's going to be surprised with the speed of Zhang. But Parker's he's going to try boxing. The problem is Parker's not elusive. Like you said, he's not some slick boxer. You know, Andy Lee can train the jab into him and whatnot. He's not going to make his feet move quicker. He's not going to make his, he's not got great feet. He's not going to get in and out quickly. So he's going to get caught. And whether he can take it or not is the question, because I don't doubt his chin, but Zhang can hit hard and he can hit a lot, quite frequent. But if Zhang isn't able to dent him, then I can see Parker just frustrating Zhang in the later rounds and just picking up the rounds and then getting the win over 12. So yeah, I like you both of you said, it's a close one. So Jide, you're going with Zhang knockout, right?
Yeah.
And Chris, you're going with Parker points.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in between the two, but I'm going to go with Zhang. I just think Zhang's got that X factor about him where there's going to be an exchange where he just lands something heavy onto Parker, and he probably won't get the Joe Joyce one punch knockout, but he'll land something heavy that will shift the momentum back towards him, and then he'll be able to catch a Parker and eventually stop him in sort of a sequence of punches. But it's like you said, it's a great fight. It could go either way, and these are the heavyweight fights that we need. This is one of the best heavyweight fights outside of Fury Usyk this year. It's really good fight. So big ups to both of them, especially Joseph Parker. You look at his resume: AJ, Wilder, Zhang, Joyce.
Bro, he's got the second best resume in boxing in heavyweight boxing.
Yeah,
the only person who's got a better resume is AJ.
Yeah,
And you can now argue he's got a better, he's got not a better because he's lost, but he's got a deeper resume than AJ. Because unlike AJ, he's managed to get Zhang in there, he's gotten Wilder in there, he's got some of the guys that AJ still struggled to get in there. But yeah,
yeah, and I agree with this, that the winner of this fight, on paper right now, would be the third best heavyweight outside of Fury and Usyk, because obviously they've done more work in the last 12 to 15 months, so they
man,
deserve that ranking.
I don't know any of that shit, man. Let's keep it true. Winner of this fight is the fourth best heavyweight. Everyone's so quick to name a top three, bro. Unless someone knocks off AJ, yeah, that isn't Usyk and Fury. I'm not hearing it. That's
That's
just it.
But they're proving themselves to be one of the best heavyweights, and
Yeah,
these are the
of
tough
course.
fights that they're getting. That's great. So obviously, just comments of who they think. I mean, Chris thinks Parker in the 10th round, so I think he thinks Parker's going to stop Zhang in the 10th round, which is a big.
Bro, that's a big shout. Put money on that, Chris. I'm telling you, you make a lot of money.
Parker and Lee have a plan. Dapo says Parker on points. Look at him posing in his holiday picture. Yes, it's his Google account, and he's doing that. Yeah, say none. Zhang's gonna be breathing like XL Billy after round 3. He definitely got tired against Joyce. Not really. I don't think he got tired. He was beating up Joyce.
He was lighting him up.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're throwing bare punches, you're not, and you're 41 years old, you're not gonna be throwing like 100 punches around like Usyk. So yeah, that. But I just feel like that's just natural fatigue. When I'm saying tired, I'm talking about breathing like an XL Bully tired. We didn't see that.
Yeah, even in the first fight, I think by the time we got to the 6th round, he was just lighting up Joyce, and he was just taking his time beating him up because he knew Joyce couldn't move out of the way of it.
Yeah.
Manic
The winner,
says,
I would love the winner to fight AJ though. If AJ don't get Hergovich or don't get Usyk
Fury.
I want AJ to get the winner of that fight.
Yeah, that would be a great fight, and that would be probably AJ's like top 5 wins on his career. So Manic says the winner of this fight is easily 4th best,
Agreed.
and he thinks that Parker wins on points. So we're kind of split. Some people think Parker, some people thinking me and Jide obviously thinking Zhang. So yeah, that's how you know you got a good fight, when you know that the results of what people are predicting are split down the middle. And the rest of the card is quite good. We're not going to be able to cover all of it, but you know, you got 2 world title fights on it. I don't know if one of them's still on it, but we'll check in the next week. So you got Ray Vargas defending his WBC featherweight title against Nick Ball. That's a great fight, especially the fact that you had 2 other featherweight world title fights that happened yesterday. So another featherweight world title fight this Friday. You've got Israel Madrimov versus Magomed Kurbanov for the Jamel Charlo's vacant WBA 154-pound belt title. And then you've also got Justice Hooney, you know, young up-and-coming Australian heavyweight, taking on Kevin Lorena, the guy that dropped Dubois 3 times on the Fury Chisora undercard. So there's a lot of fights on it that are quite interesting, and it's going to be a great card. And also, just going to give a shout out to, if you're watching this or if you're looking for someone to watch this with, the 505 have a watch party that you can go to on Friday. Go to that. I mean, their first watch party for the Day of Reckoning was quite good. It was amazing. The vibes there were great, and they've got even more boxers now attending there. You've got like Isaac Chamberlain. They've got Robinson. They've got so many guys coming out there. So make sure that you check out the 505 way on and their watch party. But Friday is going to be good. I can't wait for it. Moving on from the British side of things, we're going to come to the American side of things. And now Jide is going to sort of sit up because this is his time to shine. So obviously PBC and Showtime came to an end in 2024. There's no more PBC are not showing their shows on Showtime, and they worked out a deal with Amazon Prime. Now they didn't announce anything until recently. They announced their schedule for their pay-per-view fights. So obviously the first one is going to be at the end of this month, which is Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman, in a weird one because obviously Tim Tszyu is the WBO champion, but the fight's happening at a 155-pound catch weight, so Tim isn't really defending his belt. And then you've also got Rolly Romero taking on Isaac Cruz, defending his WBA 140-pound title belt. And then you've also got Sebastian Fendora versus Bohochuk for the WBC interim 154-pound title belt, which I think will be the vacant eventually. So 3 world title fights, actually 4. There's a flyweight world title fight as well on the prelims for their first Amazon Prime pay-per-view. Jide, what are your thoughts about PBC moving to Amazon Prime and the fact that they're starting with Keith this card as their sort of first flagship Amazon Prime pay-per-view?
Cheeks. That card is cheeks. It is absolutely terrible. But what they were saying, I remember when Leonard Ellaby with his rocket nose was out here talking about, oh, we'll never fight on the app. Now they're on the app. They're on the app. They struggle to bring out their boxing schedule. All pay-per-views they've announced so far, no free to air. Rick Glazier's been vindicated. Absolute cheeks. You're fighting Keith Thurman, who doesn't have a profile anymore. He's not fought in 2 years. No one gives a damn about him. You're bringing Tim Tszyu, which is a great fight. I like Tim Tszyu, but he's not known in America. And you're now headlining a pay-per-view. And what do you expect to do? You're telling me, okay, Amazon Prime is a huge platform. I'm not here to come and pretend. But who's there for boxing? Let's keep it true. I've got Amazon Prime, but I use it to get yesterday I got my SSD card for my PS5 delivered because I want to play PlayStation. I'm not there to watch boxing. I'm not there to watch
How much
boxing.
do you pay for that, by the way?
150. 2
How big
terabytes.
1 terabyte. Right.
You know, two terabytes.
Oh, 2. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so like people have Amazon Prime to use Amazon Prime services, or maybe we're watching The Boys. Like if you look at the American football, right? This is the biggest sport in America. Look at the streaming on Amazon Prime. It's not that great. It's building, but it is their sports network, their sports platform is still in its infancy. So it's still growing. So you're not trying to tell me a niche sport in America, which is boxing, you're gonna bring it to Amazon Prime and you're only gonna do pay-per-views. That is stupid. And then the fights you're putting there, Rolly Romero with his shit voice, he talks like someone that gets bullied in school. Like he's your world champion. That is your world champion. Like, come on, what are we doing here? What is the plan? Premier Bomb Championships. This is not boxing. This is not how you save boxing. Cheeks. If they made that card, yeah, if that card wasn't pay-per-view, I wouldn't be chatting shit. I wouldn't be onto them like this. A Thurman Tszyu fight is calm as a free to air, not free to air, but you know what I mean, part of the subscription. That is, I will happily not watch that because it's nothing to do. You can build the platform, build your profile. It's not a world title fight. Keith, although I'm saying he's not a name anymore, you can still build him. Former WBA champion, fought Manny Pacquiao. There's a lot of things you can play with it, and people will just be curious. But all right, let's watch that. Rolly Romero again, some bomb. Like you cannot sell me that and say you're a serious platform. There's all these rumors floating about the PBC. They're trying to sell it, looking for investors. Like fighters are leaving left, right, center. Like, bro, the Premier Bomb Championship is done. Thank you, Al Heyman, for ruining American boxing. That's all I can say. Thank you, Al Heyman, for ruining American boxing. The last piece of this puzzle is when we get the destruction of certain boxer. I'm not going to name that boxer because everyone thinks I've got an agenda against him.
We're going to go on to him, so don't worry.
When that certain boxer finally fights his contemporaries and we see what he's actually made of, then we'll see either the end or the resurrection of the PBC.
Elaborate on this certain boxer's name.
One thing I always say is we don't want in boxing there should only be 2 platforms. I don't want it to be just ESPN and the Zone, because at the end of the day, the more platforms you have, the more opportunities you have for boxers and fighters. So I'm not here to be, although I'm anti-PBC because I feel like they ruined boxing. It's not great that they're suffering like this. It's bad for American boxing. And at the end of the day, American boxing has produced some of the greatest talents we've ever seen in this very storied and old sport. They have some of the best characters. So I don't want it a situation where American boxing is done. But the PBC needs to change its practices. They need, like, I don't know where we're gonna get into this year, but the Canelo Benavidez situation. Everyone's been calling Canelo ducker. Canelo just wanted to get out of that contract, rightfully so. These guys have no money. These are like, imagine working for your boss and my man's telling you, yo, listen, I know my contract said I'm gonna give you 10K this month, but in fact, I'm only gonna give you 10K if you now go to Ipswich to do this job for me. But like, why are you adding all these clauses, bro? We had a deal. Give me my money. So I heard Canelo leaving that. And then Eddie Hearn spoke to Samson Lukowitz and said, you want to fight Canelo. Benavidez wants to fight Canelo. We will put front the money and make that fight happen. My man's talking about, the US rights have to go to Amazon Prime. Are you sick? What has Al Heyman told? This guy's meant to be an advisor. What advice is telling Rolly Romero, go earn less money fighting Pitbull where you can afford Ryan Garcia for 2 or 3 times the money? What kind of advice is that? Benavidez will never make more money than fighting Canelo, but you're standing on business because you want the fight on Amazon Prime. That is stupid. Premier Bum Championship has ruined boxing, because they refuse to let their fighters go out and fight other fighters. And they put these guys on a shelf, let them rot and just sit there, have no, like, boxing, you need momentum, you need to keep fighting. Then when these guys go and fight other guys from Top Rank or the Zone who've been fighting regularly, they get cooked. They get cooked because they've not been fighting. That's why all these guys, like Jamal Charlo, I remember for years, not Lions in the Camp, that's Tunde Ajayi stuff, yeah, but like LDBC and all these guys be like, we got the Charlo brothers are Lions, man, blah, 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 because they were fighting the little PBC circuit. The moment my man fights Canelo, he's looking like a deer in the headlights. Why is this always happening to PBC guys? Because they're not fighting. They're in a little island. They've separated themselves from the rest of the boxing world because they just have this stupid idea that they can replicate the Mayweather formula. It doesn't work. Mayweather and Pacquiao is a lightning in a bottle moment. You will never replicate that again. It didn't exist before, and it will never exist again. You cannot now manufacture these sort of stars, especially when Pretty Boy Floyd was fighting very regularly, was 37-0 and like 25 knockouts. In lightweight, he was cleaning guys out. But you guys moving like the fight that shouldn't be named, claims is the face of boxing, but doesn't want to fight anyone. Like, what are we doing?
He's not Voldemort. He's not going to turn up if you say his name. You can't say his name.
No, I'm not saying his name because people think I have an agenda against him. So I'm trying to change that narrative. I don't have an agenda against him. I'm just saying that I just want to see the PBC let their fighters fight.
Let me know who it is, man.
Until they do that, they're gonna keep having this situation. Like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This is what Al Heyman's doing. But anyway, that's me, man.
No, I agree. The PBC have a lot of work to do this year. Like last year, they had a great year. They obviously put on many good fights. But this year, the network deal is the biggest thing. I don't know too much about the business, but I know that PBC have a lot of fighters on their roster and doing, I think, 11 or 14 shows, pay-per-view shows a year on Amazon Prime isn't going to cover the entire roster. They need to sort out that second network deal that they're trying to sort out now, or else they're going to struggle to get their fighters fights, and that's a big issue. And obviously the whole Canelo stuff that's been happening, the reason I don't want to talk too much about it is because there's no set news, if that makes sense. It's either Canelo's going to DAZN, oh no, he's going to BBC, oh no, he's going to DAZN. So it's kind of, when we get that confirmation, then you can kind of talk more about it. Now it's kind of like he's going sort of both ways, then he's going the other way. We don't know what's going on with Canelo. With He Who Shall Not Be Named, they've obviously announced his next fight, and that's what we're gonna come on to. But before I come into that, Chris, your thoughts on the whole PBC now moving on to Amazon Prime and sort of what you've seen now from their schedule that they've announced of that first pay-per-view card, for example.
Well, to be honest, my sentiments are very similar to today. Like when I look at the Thurman fight, who's really trying to see Keith Thurman?
No.
Like, and he's trying to pay for it.
No one.
I don't know how long this will last. Is there a contract duration
for Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about
I
that.
can't see it lasting very long. yeah, if the fights were free, I'm sure it'd be a lot more successful. But PBC like money, and they like to try and make money by at the expense of the consumer. And for me, it's only a matter of time before it all crashes. Like Judy said, you're not gonna get another Floyd. You're not gonna be able to build up that kind of momentum with the way they're trying to do Money Mayweather with fighters who've not really done anything or proven anything. And yeah, I've never been a big fan of PBC. I just don't hate individual fighters like Jude. That's the only thing.
I don't hate no one.
One thing that someone pointed out. So Jay Chowdhury, he's on Twitter and he does these like info, like the social media numbers behind it. And he said it's very weird that we're coming into the month of Sue versus Thurman, which is their first flagship Amazon Prime pay-per-view, and we're not really seeing any shoulder programming, any kind of big marketing ploys from them. They're not really getting Tim Tszyu or Thurman out to doing these interviews or anything. So it's kind of weird that for something that's meant to be your first fight on a new network, you're not really, we're 4 weeks out from it, and they haven't promoted it as well as they should be doing, because again, it's your first fight. That should be, promoted as well. You should be doing the numbers for it, the rounds, the interviews and whatnot. So that's kind of a bit weird. And I think they're in a kind of weird situation where their future's up in doubt in terms of where they end up on which network, because there was a rumor, and this is a rumor, so that's why I'm not going to state it as a fact, that the person that introduced them to the Amazon deal is now not with Amazon anymore. So that's why there's a lot of issues in the sort of back room. Again, we're not present. We're not privy to any of these conversations. We don't know none of this. This is just the rumors that go around. So it's not fact. We can't use it as anything. But if that's the case, then that's a big problem, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that they still need to work out. Because they're a huge promotion, regardless of, even if you don't like them, they're a huge promotion. They've got so many fighters on the line, and there are a lot of fights that are involved with them. But the good thing is, not good thing, but we've got now clarification of the next fight for He Who Shall Not Be Named, which is Gervonta Tank Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken on, obviously, Frank Martin now in June, which in my opinion, I think that's a good fight, but it's still shy of what we want from Tank. But it's a good name to add to his resume.
Yeah,
it's like if Canelo fought Munguia instead of Benavidez, this is the same level. Instead of fighting a guy like Haney or Shakur, Tank's fighting a Martin, who's a good enough level, but I think ultimately you have to make Tank the clear favorite in that fight. Your thoughts, Chris? I'm going to come to you first before I let Jide go on his rant for this. Chris, your thoughts on this Tank versus Martin fight?
Good fight, man. I'm just happy it's made. I know there were some disagreements as to whether it would be made, comments from management and trainers, but ultimately we got there in the end. Martin's a decent little fighter. It's tough. Obviously, there's been the ongoing narrative of Tank ducking fighters of a certain ethnicity, and I guess that kind of ends here. So yeah, for me, it's a good fight. Martin is not. He's not. In fact, Martin is not a walk in the park by any means. It seems to me that he wanted the fight. We know that Martin was meant to fight Shakur Stevenson. That fell apart, and it's a step in the right direction for Tank, in my opinion. I feel like once you've gone to fight Martin, I feel like there's very little reason to go back to fight your Pitbull Cruises of this world. I feel like the next fight has to be, a Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. Shakur needs to do himself a favor anyway and actually, look decent enough to warrant a fight. But I'd love to see Tank versus Haney after their next bouts, for sure. Like, especially with the build-up being what it is, I feel like that's pretty much a mega fight for me.
Yeah.
It would sell God knows how much. I don't want to start to predict the numbers, but the advantage that they both have is that they've obviously got a social media presence a major social media presence, both fighters. Martin is I feel like he's trying to kind of be in a social media space, but yeah, he's not really done enough. And his trainer of the year. Yeah, hopefully you can prepare him enough and not just tell him to chop, 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 do what you got to do. Yeah, great fight. I got Tank winning. I got Tank probably like a late stoppage, and yeah,
Frank left a lot to be desired in his last fight with Hartunian. That was a really tough fight for him to come through. He didn't look that quite good in it, so he's not looking in the best form coming into this. But Jide, your thoughts on your favorite fighter in the world taking on Frank Martin?
Yeah, finally, the man fights someone with a pulse. Obviously, everyone else's thought has a pulse, but finally, he's fighting a top 10 welterweight. But this is like you said, this is a welterweight, lightweight. Sorry, but this is like you said, it's like Canelo fighting Munguia. Munguia is not a bad fighter. Munguia is a very, very good fighter. In any other world or any other timeline, the Munguia fight is a fight we'd say, yeah, we're happy with it. But we all want to see Benavides, which is the situation Tank finds himself in. You're out here 28 years old with no signature fight. No signature fight, no signature win. Pedraza, 5-6 years ago. That was a great win, by the way, because that was him coming up. I was very happy with him. To him, it reminds me of when Floyd Mayweather fought, was it Fernandez? Was like when he was Hernandez, sorry, yeah, Hernandez. That's the sort of comparison that you've proven yourself. You're now at this level, but the difference here is Floyd stayed at that level, while Shakur was out here doing I'm a 3-time regular WBH world champion. I'm the greatest of all time. But yeah, Tank. The problem I feel with him is he loves the money more than the game, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're a prize fighter. You're trying to make money in it. But I feel like people are short-sighted. The money comes when you put in the work. The money comes when you take those fights. He ran from Lomachenko for 5 years. And I understand him running from Loma. Loma's a generation talent, and Loma would have probably stopped that gravy train right where it was. I get it. But I can't, as a fan, I'm not a member, I'm not a manager, I'm not his manager, I'm not Al Heyman, I'm not none of these guys. I'm a boxing fan. I believe Tank would have had a chance. People think my agenda with Tank started yesterday. No. I used to really, really rate this guy. Like, I rated this guy so high. So I wanted to see the Loma fight because I believed he had a chance. Everyone else was talking like he had no chance. I'm like, I think this guy can do it. Like, let us see it. Even if he loses, let us see what his limit is. Let us see his level. But they refused to put him there. And they did that by promising him, we're gonna overpay you. We're gonna give you 2 million, 3 million, 4 million for fighting these bums. And because of that, this is where I'm not fully just blaming the PBC guys, by the way. Because they overpay Tank, they can't pay his opponents. This is what Leonard Ellaby was saying. He goes, Devin Haney, he makes a lot of money. We can't make that fight because we can't pay Tank what Tank wants and then pay you what you think you deserve. Not even what you think you deserve. You probably do deserve it. But because we've been shagging people to pay Tank, the only way we can pay Tank what he wants is by making him fight these low-level bumps. That's just the only way it makes any sort of remote financial sense. So as a boxing fan, I'm asking Tank, to make the money you think you deserve, you need to take some of these fights, bro. But he's so content with this stupid PBC model that he's not pushing for anything. He's happy to talk about sparring rumors. Oh, I beat up Teofimo when he was 15 years old. Forget that. Fight him now. He's 25, 26. Why are you bringing up when he was 15, bro? Who cares? He was a grown man when he was 15. Are you proud of that? Oh, I almost stopped Devin Haney when he was 20 years old. Yeah, but guess what? He won the spar because you lot had a bet with the senior. Facts. I'm just saying, that's just what it is. They had a bet, my man won the spar. Yeah, you almost dropped him. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. Like, and these guys are your contemporaries. The only guy you went out your way to fight was Ryan Garcia because that guy was dead. Everyone knew he was dead. No one wanted to see it, but you went out your way to fight him, and it made great financial sense. I give you credit for that, but you refuse. You refuse to test yourself. You are potentially a generational talent. Again, everyone thinks I really hate this guy, but I'm only holding him to the standards of what I rate him. When Canelo was not fighting Triple G, name he wasn't in a group chat them times. I was cooking this guy ridiculously. I used to call him Canelo with a HOE as a hoe. I used to do the absolute most because I rated it. I rate this guy. I rate you. I think you're a potentially great fighter, but you're doing stuff that's making me look at you like you don't really want this. And that's Tank. I see Tank as someone that doesn't really want it. Everyone says I doubt his skills. When I talk about skills, it's the same thing with Wilder. Like he's got skills, the same way as Wilder's got power. But who are you testing it against? Guys, you know you can beat. You barely stopped a one-footed Gamboa, and that guy was washed. Let me see you. Now I'm seeing you with Martin. Okay, cool. I expect Tank to win, and I expect Tank to stop him or drop him a couple times. That's what I expect. But I'm gonna see how he fights him. I'm gonna see Tank maybe having to fight on the front foot, switch it up. Maybe it's just, I'm gonna see it this fight. I'm really intrigued. Then I can properly analyze and assess how I feel Tank will do against Shakur. Because right now I feel Shakur cooks him. Shakur's looks shit, and I know that's why they don't want to fight him. But based on styles, Shakur absolutely cooks him. Haney is more interesting. Haney is a 50-50 to me. But Haney wants it, which is why I'm on Haney's side. I support Devin Haney because Devin Haney has the mentality of the fighter I wish Tank was. So that's my feeling with Tank. You see, I didn't come here and do agenda like people expected, but I just want to explain my feeling with Tank is he's a talented fighter that's refusing to maximize his ability, and for me, I can never rate that as a boxing fan.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've said this multiple times before when discussing Tank that the skills don't reflect the CV. That's the best way to sum up Tank. He's got pound for pound level skills, but his CV doesn't quite match up the same way. But it's a good fight, and when it's happening in June, so when we come closer to it, obviously we're going to do a bigger breakdown of it, what we expect from the two guys and whatnot. So make sure to obviously tune in for that. But yeah, that's a good fight that they've added onto the summer schedule. Speaking of the next schedule, and because we're kind of talking about Tank, this week has been a strange week to say the least. Obviously, Haney Garcia got announced, I think, a week ago or the week before, and they started their press tour. So they went to New York and LA. Now, the New York tour looked kind of Jide, you're not on mute. The New York tour was kind
Whoopsie.
no, we didn't pick up any of it, but yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. The New York tour was kind of tame. It didn't sort of boil over. Kind of. It built the fire unexpected. But the LA tour, kind of what happened afterwards, I think that's when it kind of sort of devolved into kind of a weird antics where Ryan Garcia's kind of, I don't know, he's got everyone on the edge of their seats wondering if this fight's going to happen because we don't kind of know where he's at mentally. And it's kind of devolved into a promotion of who did Tank beat up worse? You know, was it Ryan Garcia in their fight or Devin Haney in their sparring? And then Devin Haney's sparring tape with Tank got leaked by Ryan. And it's gotten very weird. And I do have this doubt in my head that whether this fight actually happens because of the way Ryan acts. I mean, today is so weird. He posted on his Instagram like 666 RIP Ryan Garcia, something, whatever. I don't know. When you see on his story, the whole the weirdness of it all is a bit weird. He's strange. And my thoughts about Haney's Garcia has been he's taken this only because he's only taken this fight because of the money. That's it. He doesn't. I don't know if he believes he wins or not, but they're cashing out. And Golden Boy doing the same thing because they saw his last fight with Oscar Duarte, and he was trying to do shoulder roll. He didn't look that great. He got the knockout, but he didn't kind of convince you he was back. So that's my thoughts on that, in the sense that I don't think Ryan Garcia is mentally fit, and I think that for this fight, he's not really in the best place, but he doesn't really care because he wants the money for it. That's going to come with it, due to all his personal problems that seem to be lingering around him. Jide, your thoughts on the whole antics that we've seen this week from them two?
It's hilarious, man. I won't lie, I've been entertained. Is divulged into nonsense with like, the thing is, I don't like below the belt stuff unless you really, really hate each other. And I don't know if they really hate each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, everyone says just quick pivot, everyone says the McGregor Habib promotion, like, that got too far. It went too far. Which I can see, I can understand, especially if you're Muslim or you're from that side, like you follow that tenet or follow that faith. I completely understand. However, as a neutral, my guy, that shit was entertaining, bro. And then the fight getting absolutely dominated. That stuff made me want to watch the fight way more. I'll tell you that for free. Like they did. Was it the highest? I'm sure it's still the highest.
It was like 2.4 million pay-per-view buys.
And I think the bad blood was part of it. Like there was genuine blood.
The bus incident where Khabib had his fight, title fight, and then because he slapped Connor's teammate, Connor and his boys came, smashed up the bus and all of that. Like, crazy.
Yeah, like, do you know what I'm saying? And that was that, bro. They could never create that again. So I feel like the Haney Garcia stuff, obviously it hasn't reached that level. However, the editing of the spar, leaking it again, I believe my man won the spar, but again, I can believe those things happened during the spar. But you see how it only shows Tank's success in that spar. There's no way you spar a man for, I don't know, 40 minutes or how long they've sparred, and Haney has zero success in that. Like, come on, let's be real. Do you know what I mean? But then it made people, we was all talking about it. We talked about it when it dropped. Different fighters were talking about it. Or when he went into the press conference, man's talking about, I smoke weed and I drink. Like, what are you talking about? You sound like an idiot. But again, it's entertaining because when he got checked, or in my opinion, Haney reaching that when Garcia said he's got nappy hair, for me, that's a reach. Because you was talking about their man's hair as well. Like, that's a reach. But again, it don't matter. It don't matter. It was entertaining. It was ridiculous. So I believe the build-up, although it's gone a bit dumb sometimes, in where and like you said, Garcia's antics. Even me, I don't think the fight's gonna get ahead based on how my man's been moving in it. But when they have like been going at each other, it's been entertaining. And at the end of the day, we want to be entertained. And I think if the fight does go ahead, they will do good pay-per-view numbers if it goes ahead. But again, Garcia's worrying me. I feel like he's having a mental health episode. He lost his wife. He lost his kid. Didn't lose his kid. Sorry, he lost his wife. His marriage is done or whatever. Like he's like, he says he wants to fight Sean Strickland. He wants to fight in Vegas. It's just being weird. And when you do weird stuff like this, just like so close to a fight, you want to pull out. We've seen this with Fury. It's like we've seen the blueprint, bro. And you're out here bum licking Floyd Mayweather when Floyd is using you as a proxy to wage war against Haney. That's what he's using. He's using you to beat up Devin Haney's reputation, and you're just there, just being allowed yourself to be used like a rag doll. Like Garcia is just an idiot. He's just an idiot. That's his problem. He's stupid. Like you've let Floyd lead you astray multiple times, and Floyd as well is just weird. But we all know that anyways. But in terms of like the build up for the fight, I feel like it's made the fight a bit juicier, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I like it, man.
Yeah, and Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously on paper it's a very entertaining fight, mostly because of the build up and the history that they have. Obviously they're 3-3 for their amateur fights. But along the way, we can tell, it's very easy to tell that one person's been serious during their career and one person's been serious and one person's had good guidance, and the other one is a bit lost and is going through quite a lot. Garcia is clearly screaming for help. one thing about boxing, they never seem to really. A lot of boxers never really seem to have the right things in place to look out for themselves when they go through these kind of situations, because I don't think there's any other way to look at it other than like a mental health situation. It's like damning when you look at the signs, when you look at what he's posting, when you look at what he's saying. He's admitted to smoking. He's got history. He took time out because of depression in the past. You'd think the guys over at Golden Boy, you know, Oscar, Bernard Hopkins, would have things in place to you know, look out for their fighter. But for me, it just seems like they're just trying to paper over the cracks, keep him steady enough until the fight happens and just cash out. And I feel like they can see, as we can kind of see, where he's going, what kind of path he's going down. He's not a good enough fighter. He's great for putting butts in seats, and he's extremely popular with the younger crowd and the younger audiences. But all in all, his talent is not there. His commitment, I mean, his talent might be there. He's got talent. He's got a bit of talent, but his commitment to the sport isn't there, and he's got too much going on in the background, really to fully focus on boxing. It can't be easy just having a kid and then going through a divorce, and then struggling with whatever, apparent illicit drug use. Well, we know he's smoking weed, but there's rumors of it being a little bit worse than that. So yeah, man. It's in terms of what was happening at the press conferences, that's just boxing, that's just fighters talk, his dad and Garcia's dad going at each other. It's not a big deal. It's nothing we've never seen before. It helps sell the fight. It is what it is. But for me, the concern is Garcia, where he's at. Is the fight going to really happen? We don't know. We know Floyd has been kind of misleading him. I don't know. Floyd is trying to get back at Devin. It even seems like he's trying to get at, it felt like he was trying to get at Oscar by trying to get him to pull out of the Devin fight in the first place. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm a bit torn as to whether this fight does go ahead.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's kind of like, you, outside of boxing, you hope that Ryan Garcia is mentally fine, and if he's not, that he does get the help he needs. And for those that are wondering, what I'll show you here. I mean, if you look on his Twitter, just like, this is what he just posted 2 hours ago. I mean, that, what the hell? 666 RIP, whatever. And then talking about Jake Paul, that he can't take this, making voice notes that he needs to beat up Jake Paul and hurt him. And that's worrying, this isn't normal. This type of stuff here is just not normal. Do you know what I mean? Let me start showing this. So I do hope that he does get the help that he needs. But I also feel, I've mentioned this before, he chills in that LA area, one of the worst places if you need help, because those guys are leeches. You've got the streamers, the clout chasers, the people that are trying to be something.
Yeah.
Those are the worst people to have around you, especially that time. But so, on a real note, I do hope he does get the help he needs, because he's a human being and you want him to be well. And I do hope that they do stop this fight, because we're boxing fans. We want the fight, but if he's not mentally correct, I don't want this fight. I don't want this fight if he's not 100. If he's going through all this stuff and he's only doing this for the money, get him out of there, because boxing's hard enough as it is. You don't need other stuff hampering you going into this, and your head not being cleared. But let's see how the next couple of weeks unfold, because the way these lot clout chase, he could do in the next couple of weeks, go, oh, this is all a trick just to promote the fight, get the angle. Now you lot are talking about me. So we'll see how the next couple of weeks unfold, because April 20th is still over a month to go. So it's weird. It's been a weird sort of build up that they started to this. But like Jide said, they are building it up now and people are talking about it. So we'll have to see how they go. And today, this is something we added on to talk about today. Dylan White, out of nowhere, out of the blue, I think it was like this week he announced he was coming back. He was making his comeback, and then it got announced via Sky Sports News that the Texas Boxing Commission launched an investigation into his drug test that went positive, obviously for the AJ fight that he was meant to have in August, and they've said that it happened because he unintentionally ingested a supplement that contained a contaminant, and so that's what they said that should clear him from their investigation. Of course, the confusing part is, which for any casual fan would be confusing, is what the hell does the Texas Boxing Commission have to do with anything? Because he got tested by VADA, and this was for BBOC licensed fight. So that doesn't necessarily mean in Britain he's licensed to fight. And I didn't know he held a Texas Boxing Commission because he lives in Portugal. So that came out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, but what I'll come on to it, your thoughts, obviously, of him being cleared, what your thoughts about that is. And if he does come back, what do we expect to see? So, Jide, you are laughing a lot, so I know you got a lot to say about Dylan White being cleared.
I don't even have a lot to say. I just find the whole thing funny. Like you said, bro got popped. Not in Texas. He wasn't in Texas when he got popped. I don't know where he suddenly developed a Texas border control license. Like when did that happen? Like Dylan White made a deal with the devil, and some brown paper envelopes have been exchanged. Some under the table deals have been exchanged for them to come out with that nonsense that he's been cleared. My goat, my female goat, Alicia Baumgardner, her situation was quite similar. Like, let's keep it true. Like, she got popped. The W done a nonsense, not supposedly not biased assessment of her findings, that with her hair follicles or whatever nonsense. Sent it to the WBC. The WBC, yeah, that's fine. How much? I wonder how much money she gave them, and they're like, yeah, we're good with it. That was basically what Dylan White did. He's not cleared. You know what's funny? We don't know what substance he got popped yet. We still don't know the substance. And the reason why we don't know the substance is because if we knew what substance it was, he probably wouldn't get away with it. He probably wouldn't get away with it. Another thing he's done that's quite smart is he's kept quiet. Unlike Conor Benn, he's just kept quiet. Dylan White just stayed away and he did what he needed to do in the background. Look here, I'll tell you now for free. He is 1000% guilty. I'm not trying to hear a fighter say or athlete say, oh, I didn't know. Plausible deniability, please, like, allow me, bro. You've been caught with supplements, with contaminated supplements twice before, 2 times, and then now you're trying to make me believe the 3rd time it's also contaminated. So listen, Dylan White, the guy done dirty. He got popped. It is what it is. If the BBOC are going hard on Conor right now, and if they have any sort of consistency, they will do the same to Dylan. However, I'm here to tell you all, I don't care about juicing. They all do it. I do not care. I want to see fights. At this point, I don't care. I don't care, because there are guys that say, "Oh, I'm so clean, I'm so clean, I'm so clean," but they're not. They are not. There's no way these guys are fighting to their 40s and want to make me believe that they're clean. There's no way these guys are putting on certain type of muscle mass and then fighting like Energizer bunnies. And I don't think they've been using EPO or whatever other derivative or whatever. Like, I feel like all these guys have cycles. You're not going to be working with the Victor Contes and these guys and like Benavides. Somehow you are naturally a cruiserweight, but somehow you're boiling down to 175 and think you're doing it clean and you still have this insane stamina you have. I'm not believing it. So because I believe they're all juicing, bro, bring Dylan White back. Let him have a mix-up in Saudi, bro. Like Seb said in a group chat, Dylan White versus Daniel Dubois, amazing fight. Amazing fight. Give me that fight. I want to see it. There's a lot of guys Dylan White can still mix it with. So I'm not going to be here sitting on my high horse. Oh my God. I just don't like the hypocrisy of like the Furies of the world when it comes to the juice and stuff, innit? But am I angry that Tyson Fury's done his so-called ban and he's fighting? Of course not. Tyson Fury is a great fighter. I'm happy he's fighting. I don't want to see fucking Arthur Spilker and not Tyson Fury, bro. Like, give me the best fighters. Give me the best. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm so sad that Dylan White managed to get away with it. The guy is guilty. I'll tell you that for free. He's very, very guilty. But I am happy he's back, and I want to see him in good fights. So yeah, that's me.
I mean, even if he's not guilty of this, we have to remember that he failed 2 drugs tests in his career prior to this drugs test.
Yeah.
You can't really say he's an innocent soul like that because obviously, there is that previous record. But Chris, you obviously know more about this type of topic than the common man does. What's your thoughts on the body snatcher situation?
Well, first things first. Like Jide, I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with Jide. He did take something, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. And the main reason I say that is because the supplement industry is so easy to blame. It is so easy to blame. It's literally the first thing that people think of. And that's just because of poor regulation, especially if you're in a European country where it's unlikely that you're going to have tainted meat, eggs, fish. Supplements are not regulated well across the board, across the world. And yes, there have been actual cases, documented cases where certain ingredients have been put into supplements, particularly pre-workout supplements. Not just your regular protein shake, but pre-workout supplements, fat burning supplements. It does happen. My thing is, you've been busted twice before. Common sense would dictate that if you really didn't want to get caught up in this again, you would stop using supplements. They are just supplements at the end of the day. There's no supplement in the world, right, that's really going to make a massive difference that you would risk your career for. Do you know what I mean? In a drugs test. Do you know what I mean? If for example, if I'd been busted twice, I'm not taking pre-workouts. I'm having a cup of coffee. Do you know what I mean? I'm not having protein shake. I'm having, a regular meal. This is someone who's been busted. We don't know what the ingredient is, and if we knew, obviously the chances are we'd probably easily figure out that it's been used it's been used for performance enhancement, and it probably wasn't ingested by accident. And I'm also not really of the opinion that if you consume something by accident, you should get a bly. No. If the amount and the levels that are in your system are, hitting the threshold of whatever organization is testing, that should be it. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of whether you did it knowingly or unknowingly, everyone's going to say they didn't do it on purpose. I've never ever seen a single person test positive for drugs and then just come up, put their hands up straight away, and then say, you know what, I did this, I made a mistake straight away. Even Farmer Miller tried to say he didn't know, he didn't. And then when the extra stuff came out, when all the extra supplements, the HGH and all the extra pharmaceuticals in the system, that's when he finally put his hands up and said, you know what, this is a bit too much. I can't just pin this down to a supplement. So, yeah. And like Jide said, I know he took something, but, it's good to have him back. It's another decent name to have mixing up in the heavyweight division. He probably needed those drugs for AJ. If anything, he just missed he's talking now like, yeah, he had his chance to knock out AJ was taken away from him. Brother, you've not knocked out anyone of note in a very long time. Do you know what I mean? In a very, very long time. Chances that he was going to knock out AJ, very low. He would have been very wealthy from the fight, but, and now he's cleared. Well, pseudo cleared. It's interesting to see what's next for him. Obviously, like you guys have said, Daniel Dubois is a great fight. Jarrell Miller is another good fight, in my opinion. He can mix up. He's like a fringe heavyweight, not quite a gatekeeper, but definitely not one of the best. And I feel like he's in like an interesting position where anyone could fight him. Do you know what I mean? Outside of Fury, hopefully, because who knows what that guy he might say he wants a rematch. But outside of Fury, I think it'd be interesting to see him mix up with anyone, in my opinion. So Congratulations to him.
Chris says Dylan White versus Jaron Miller, Battle of the Cheats. You could sell it as that'd be fun to watch. White gets cleared within 6 months, but Ben is still yet to be cleared, which is going on almost 2 years. But that's because Ben's been sort of resistive so much to it now, and they've sort of messed about with it so much that they're looking for ways to come back, and it's just taking so long because of what they did initially. So that's kind of his fault. Life of Bodge says Dylan White is going to look so washed coming back. Yeah, he's out for quite a bit, and he already looked washed before then. Right? Remember his Franklin fight? He didn't look great in that one.
No.
And he says if you think he was slow and flat-footed against Fury, he's going to be terrible in his next fight. Yeah. Chris asked, do you think AJ White could still happen, lads?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't
think
want
they've washed their hands of him.
Yeah.
They've basically said, like, we basically don't want to do anything. I don't think White goes back to Matchroom after this. I think he probably ends up on Boxer or something.
Yeah.
So, and then Chris says White versus Franklin was one of the worst heavyweight fights I've watched. Both moved like grannies on crutches. They both had awful movement. It was weird because Franklin was overweight in that fight, but then when he came into the AJ fight next to it, the guy lost so much weight and he looked much better. That I thought if he came in that shape for the White fight, I think it was a close fight. He definitely would have won that had he come in better shape for that fight. So that was mainly on Franklin and Dylan. He's at that. I thought at that point when they made the second fight for AJ and White, I thought it was just Dylan White cashing out and then that's it. He would have been done. So I think he's good. He's not going to look great coming back, but we'll see because the heavyweight division is in a healthy state right now that you can get big fights moving. He could get the Wilder fight. That could happen. Wilder might fight him, and then that one fight could be easily what Wilder needs to propel himself back towards an AJ fight. He could fight himself in many fights. Dubois, Miller, even Lawrence Okoli, maybe if Boxer want to do that because they've got the history. So let's see what they've got in store for him. But it's been a sort of weird kind of drugs tests in boxing, kind of weird to always follow. But I think that's it. We've covered most of it for this week, so that's great. Look, like I said, there was a lot to cover, and it took us 90 minutes to cover all of it. So thank you for tuning in and staying with us the whole way. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please give us 5 stars, and make sure to tune in next week where we'll be reviewing the AJ Ngannou card. And hopefully we're reviewing it positively and not negatively, but even still, we'll still be there next week. So we'll see you there next week. Peace.
Peace out.